I guess let's let fate decide, you know. Let's stand here and one of us will never see the light of day again.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Plot Pals podcast.
Welcome to a classic episode about a classic film that will make you fall in love with the visual medium.
Yes, and
Amazing.
you were never going to guess what that movie is. Barry Lyndon!
Finally!
Yes!
This poster has been here for months.
Exactly.
And now we get to talk about every single scene in this film. Like, this is scene 1. Oh my god, amazing.
The dwelling.
Yes.
And all that. Wow.
What a good movie. I have to say, you said something in the car which is so true.
What is
You
that?
said on the surface, Kubrick films, including this one, feel a little boring, feel a little bit annoying. Like you don't understand why they're so cold and you can't connect with them.
Right.
But then they grow in your head over a few watches.
Yeah.
And when you think about it as well, you just keep having this affection for it. And so you keep going back. That's exactly what happened with me when I first heard about Kubrick like 5-6 years ago.
Wow.
I was like, you know, Kubrick, what are you doing? I like my Tarantinos. I like the loud dialogue and swearing and what is this like quiet, nobody's moving and what are your films even about? But then I would keep thinking about them after I'd watched them already, and I'd think about the music and the shot choices and how people were talking and their stares, you know? And so then I would go back and watch the movies and suddenly it would become my favorite ever. So it's just, that's Kubrick's power.
I think his movies just get under your skin, you know. It's irritating. It's just like unconsciously kind of like grabs you. That music, those lines, those actors.
I think it's a combination of he's so handsome.
Right.
And also we see his kind of downfall. So you immediately connect with a man who's just down on his luck.
Right.
And we also see him show a couple of good deeds, you know? Because he's not just a cheater and just a person who's obsessed with money.
Yeah.
He also is like, he fell in love once and he didn't kill his stepson. Wow, amazing. You know? So you're like,
Yeah.
I kind of like you, man. And in the movie, it's also a lot about being naive and where that will take you. Because Barry starts being super naive. So he falls in love with his cousin and is like, oh my God, come to me. You know, even though the cousin is doing the right thing by finding a suitable husband for herself. Right. So he's super naive. And then once he leaves, after he shoots that guy and he leaves, he's so fucking naive that he's sitting on his horse and like showing his money that two people come and rob him.
Right.
Because he's not hiding that shit like you should. And then who else is naive? I feel like poor woman who he marries is so goddamn naive. Like she just sees a handsome guy, even though she's the rich one. I feel like in the novel she was not into marrying. Is that right?
I'm not sure. Really.
Okay. But in the movie, like she falls in love immediately. Like as soon as she sees Barry.
Yeah. They actually say it. The narrator says that
like 6 hours.
After 6 hours, her ladyship declared herself in love with Barry Lyndon. Yeah.
That's so sad. Like she had the money, she had the status,
she was
and
a
the
countess.
beauty. Right.
Wow. And so beautiful too. Yeah.
Yeah, but she naively fell for him, and then he naively goes into fucking trying to cheat in games and try and make money and.
Well,
Poor
you know,
guy.
actually, in the book, he's not that naive in that sense. So, okay, he is naive in the sense that he thinks he's above everyone, but he's not simple. So in the movie, it showcases him as a simple character, as someone that is like, doesn't understand anyone, like a very simple boy, an immature, simple boy that can't lie, that can't do this stuff. But in the book, he immediately, actually what happens is he doesn't get robbed. He actually like encounters some people, he deceives some people, and he gets credit like immediately. The first inn that he goes to, I think he helps a lady or something, and that lady brings her husband, and they kind of get acquainted. And through that husband, he gets lots of credit. He plays games, I think. Something like that. I'm not sure right now, but that's what happens. So immediately he deceives people, and he doesn't say his name.
That's way more interesting.
I know, right?
Because then you feel that he's not just a blank canvas.
Yeah.
But in the movie, you're right. For at least for the first 30 minutes, this guy is the most innocent. Like, I've never made a mistake in my life. Please, everyone love me. I'm just a young boy trying to become a man. Which I understand from the side of the filmmakers, because they're trying to make this character likable, who is going to do some despicable things, who's going to cheat on his wife and cheat on the games. And so I guess the filmmakers want you to be on his side. But then the switch kind of becomes a little bit like, why does he suddenly become so mean to the woman as soon as he marries her, you know?
Right.
Why?
That's so fast. Well, maybe because that scene where they kiss, Lady Lyndon and Barry walk into the balcony and they don't talk. They just look at each other. He touches her hand and then they start kissing. So that scene, there's a reason why they didn't talk. That's because they want to show the shallowness of their relationship.
Right.
So it just shows that they never connected on like a human level and like fall in love like deeply. For both of them, it was just an infatuation, you know? So maybe that's why. And also, in the movie, it says that it took 1 year for them to get married.
Right.
So in that 1 year, you know, he sees that this woman is head over heels over him. So he's not going to try as much, of course, right? Because it's
Makes
just
sense.
easy for him. But again, like, she's a prize. She has to value herself, right?
It's so sad. But I'm so glad you brought that scene up, because it's like the most romantic, one of the most romantic scenes I've ever seen, even though nothing really happens.
Yeah.
So first they're sitting in the gambling room, and of course, you know, there's the lighting going on, and just the candles, and it's dark, and all they show is this classical song playing,
Right.
Din, 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 so dramatic, and then it's just the looks between them.
Wow.
So cut to this woman kind of like looking up and down and at the guy, and then cut to the guy.
The guy just
staring
stares
back.
Yeah.
Oof. And then we keep cutting back to the woman closer, like a little bit closer, as if he's getting closer to her, he's getting under her skin, or she's falling for him. But when we cut back to the guy, it's the same shot, you know, the same size.
Exactly.
So just with a couple of shots, it makes you like understand totally their dynamic, that he has total control over her. She's starting to fall in love. And then she walks out. Oh, such a good planning of the scene. Like, you know, it makes perfect sense, because she's walking out for two reasons, really. One is to take herself out of the situation, like try to get some air and maybe forget about this guy who's like taking her money literally as they play, but also taking her heart. So she walks out, but at the same time, she's doing this seductive thing of like, is he gonna follow me? You know, like, I'm not gonna just put myself out there. I'm gonna leave, and if he wants me, he will come out.
Exactly, because the number one rule of seduction is that you make eye contact and then
leave.
Well, the guy has to follow you after that, or like come and approach you,
my
right?
God, that's
so the
crazy.
only thing that a woman does is either throw the handkerchief or make eye contact.
Wow, and then the guy has to start doing things. That's great.
I know, right? But did you also notice the Reverend there?
Yes.
The eye contacts, it's amazing. The play of eyes and everything.
It's true. Like, we don't even know what they're playing, you know? We don't see the cards or anything, but we know exactly what's going on. That she keeps putting more money in.
Right. And did you just notice the eyes and stuff? Like the triangle.
That's true.
Like, at first, the Reverend doesn't notice anything. But then the lady keeps staring, and he looks at the woman and then follows her eyes.
Yes.
And sees that guy, and sees that guy is also staring at her. So it's like he just is disappointed, I don't know, kind of like suspicious.
Yes.
It's great acting.
Amazing storytelling with like
with
such
just
simple.
eyes.
Yes, exactly. And then when he comes out as well, she's like, they let her stand there for a minute, you know, for so long. She's just saying like, is he gonna come out? Yeah,
for
but
the actors, you know,
for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it gives you, the viewer, time to reflect on your life.
Right.
You know, as soon as she's just standing there, you have time to think, did I ever do this? Of course I did. You know, I remember when this guy was talking to me and I went out and like, so you just start to reflect on your own life. Amazing. You know, I think more filmmakers should do that.
Yeah, just give time to breathe, you know?
Yeah, especially if the shots are this visually appealing and like mean something deeper than just a woman standing there.
Right.
I think you have the opportunity to just take a break and let it play out. And then he just comes and it's almost like slow motion, you know. He grabs her hand and he pulls her over. And it's like it's all playing in this metaphorical level. It's not even just about this moment of him taking her. It's about him taking her to be the bride and like kind of seducing her to marriage. And then they kiss and seal the deal. It's so cool. Like just with a simple shot. Wow. And every shot is like that in this movie.
I know, right? I mean, that's just one of the most beautiful ones. But interesting that you think that's the most romantic one. Because...
Oh, you think...
There was this one that... It's like not a romantic, like in a love kind of sense, but it was this scene that he is still a soldier. He's an officer. He goes to this village girl's house, you know, village woman. She had a kid as well.
Right.
And that scene is also so beautiful. And all of these scenes are so dark, like the scenes that there is some seduction going on. Now, let's go back to the first one with Nora, the cousin, right?
That's so seductive, is it not?
Yeah.
Even though they're cousins, so you're like, I don't know if I ship that, but still.
Yeah, exactly. But it starts, I memorized the scene. So it starts with a camera on a statue
of a child.
Yeah.
Of innocence.
That's right. But still, like, there are these sea things around, like seashells and stuff like that around that. It kind of makes me think of a siren.
Siren. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's almost like the siren is seducing the child. The statue, the child.
Right, right. Wow.
So cool.
I know. And it's raining. The crazy thing is that in this scene, it's raining. And also in another scene that he's talking to
Nora?
To that girl, to the village girl.
Okay.
So in both those scenes, it's raining.
Oh, so a little bit of love
is
connected to rain.
I think so. In that scene, it was like storm sounds and I don't know, like, thunders and stuff. Maybe it kind of like shows, okay, the first one, it's just raining softly. It's like a first love kind of thing. The second one is like thunder. So we don't even see the windows, but we hear the sound. So they definitely put it in.
Right.
There's a reason definitely for that. So the thunder, maybe it's like the infatuation, I don't know.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, just a passion. And then...
And when he meets Lady Lyndon, the sky is like just a little gray.
There's nothing. So maybe that also shows like how bland their relationship is. So, yeah, he's sitting there. They're playing cards. We see Nora is like a cunning woman.
Oh my God. So they keep pulling back, right? And Nora's boobs are out. Like, no one can not look at the boobs. Like, that's all you can look at, I feel like.
The dresses of that time are wild. Wild.
It's crazy. And so you just keep pulling back. Oh, cutie Lyndon, he just never looks there, you know? He's looking everywhere but there.
How modest.
So cute.
That's my boy. Oh. Well, it doesn't stay that way then.
That's
so
right.
long.
That's right. So they keep pulling back.
Yeah, they kind of like show how cunning this woman is, like her eyes, how she looks and stuff. And then it kind of, again, made me go back to the line in the book that women always play a role or have power, like in history. So I'm thinking again, everything that happened to this guy, even his last name, Lyndon, is given because of a woman. So everything, like a powerful mom that he has, you know?
Right.
He like really loves his mom.
Yeah.
And his mom has always been like, why do they keep saying that his mom was like really wanted and desired by every man, even after she was a widow? Like, right?
Yeah.
Like women, that's why I love Makepeace, because his stories always like make women as they are in society. They are powerful. They have so much effect.
That's true. And he doesn't even look down on them or say that they're using this power to seduce and to destroy. He just
almost
shows
saying
what
it
it is.
in a realistic way, as it is.
That's cool.
How society actually is. Wow. So, and also I gotta say, somebody, I don't know who this was kind of like when they were making the Kubrick's film, they were saying that Kubrick wasn't trying to make the movie as exactly how 1700s were, you know, not exactly as 1770s were, but how people of that time wanted it to be seen, wanted that time to be seen. You know, the chivalry and that like wars and duels and romantic nonsense and stuff. Yeah, so all that, it's how they wanted to be seen.
Wait, so how we wanted to look back?
No, how those people of 1700s wanted to be seen.
Right.
By future people, I don't know.
I see, so kind of showing the best of their world.
Right.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. Wow. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, so beautiful.
And it's just so nice, as you say, because it's like, okay, somebody is just walking in their garden with their white dress, and you're looking at that and going, man, I wish I lived at that time. It's so cool.
But that's not like...
It's not at all.
Yeah.
So
but that's how they wanted to be looked at and how to remembered.
Right.
Crazy. And yeah, we see like women have so much power. So Nora is in control. Nora is in power here. Even when she walks and goes, like, she's standing and he's sitting. And it's like, yeah, he's timid. He's so shy.
Nora is also 8 years older than him, though.
She's 23. And he's like
15.
15.
So she's actually a predator, if you think about it.
A pedophile. Wow. Great.
Wow.
I mean, in the book, they say that Nora is a flirt. She's a seducer, and she kind of like practices her art on everyone in the house, like on servants, on valets, on cousins, and etc. Yeah.
Wait, does Nora come up a lot in the novel after the initial getting married to Quinn? Because in the movie she doesn't.
Actually, no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what the point of that was, but it's so specific. I love it. Makes sense for a character too.
Right. And then, he's like, isn't that scene so sensual? Right.
Yes.
It's so good.
It's so romantic because she's standing there like, touch my tits. And then he's like, I cannot find it. And he refuses to look there. You know, he's like holding her hand and everything. And his face is right here too. But he refuses to look. So you're just like, wow, what a good guy. You know?
First love. Even in the story, they like emphasize on the first love thing and the idea of romanticism and all that.
And the music playing is so childish as well, like so beautifully romantic. Yeah. But it's like a harp or something, you know, it's so wispy.
Yeah, and then I think we cut to the soldiers, the officers.
Oh, yeah, so now he's like, I want to be a boy. I mean, I want to be a man.
Right. He actually, when he sees that red coats and stuff, he wants to get into the army, and he also wants to have that red coat as well.
Oh, wait, I thought it was a different scene, but that makes sense. So this is the kind of giving the news of we need soldiers?
No.
That's the scene?
This is the scene that John Quinn's army and stuff comes.
I see. That's so cool.
And after that, they're dancing with Nora.
The dance, another like no dialogue scene that's so powerful. What?
Beautiful. Like the Irish music. Is it Irish?
I think so.
Yeah. And the dance, wow. She's wearing this white dress, almost like a bride, and he's just... The dance is so good. Yeah, the general.
Yeah, so like it's just like it reminded me of birds mating, you know? The guy is doing the crazy things and the like trying to be funny. And the girl, of course, she's trying to get with this guy. So she's laughing and like enjoying it. And then he stands there and looks at her. So cool. And she does a cute little thing, and then they grab each other's hands. Like, what a good choreography that was, no?
Right.
Iconic.
And he's a great dancer too.
That's true.
Like with the footwork and stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then they cut to Barry's face, just so sad. So cool.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, did you have to dance with him 5 times?
Right. And then the shot where they're talking, again, another simple fucking shot. Is crazy. So it's just them walking in the like fall woods, you know? It's like, wow, we could shoot that, you know?
And we did kind of.
But this is Barry Lyndon we're talking about, one of the greatest films of all time, and with the cinematography that's so insane.
This Barry Lyndon is based on a book called The Luck of Barry Lyndon, or there's also another title for it, The Memoir of Barry Lyndon. And it's by William Makepeace Thackeray, which we also did another episode about one of his books and stories.
That's right.
Vanity Fair. Wow.
So excited
I'm
to see his name.
obsessed with this writer. He's great. He's great.
Yes, and his themes are always so connected too. Like these two different, they're totally different stories with one female, one male character who.
Right.
But at the same time, they want kind of similar things. They want the status and power, even though their characteristics are so different. You know, one of them is cunning and smart, and Barry is like naive and. But at least in the movie, I don't know.
Well, in the book, he is also naive, but he's so arrogant.
Naive and arrogant.
Yeah, he's so arrogant, and he loves this, like...
prideful of his family name.
His generational, like, I don't know, titles and wealth and stuff. Even though he's broke right now, he talks about chivalry and, I don't know...
Right.
Being gentleman. He's obsessed with being a gentleman. You know what I love about Makepeace's stuff?
Yeah.
It's that he always makes women so powerful. He actually shows the powerful side of women.
That's true.
Like the power, the actual power that women have, you know, the feminine power, actually.
Even in this book, one of the first lines is, so many men have fallen and gotten destroyed because of women.
Right.
Or something like that.
Well, in the book, he actually has a very good line. I don't remember it exactly, but it kind of like, the idea was stuck with me. It was like, women have always played a very important role in history, something like that. And, for example, like you take Vanity Fair, and the main character is Becky Sharp, who is also like a very sharp woman that climbs the social ladder and society ladder and goes up and becomes really wealthy. But what else I like about Makepeace's stuff is that when the characters get into that like high point of their life, to that like point of prosperity and wealth and fame and everything, they always have the downfall as well. I love that in stories. I love it.
That's true.
I don't want the character to end with, you know, prosperity and happiness and stuff. I want it to fall down, you know?
But only because the characters are so bad, though, in nature.
Exactly, yes.
So he shows that being this cunning, cheating person will not pay off in the end.
Right.
Even if it does in the short while.
But it also shows the, like, reality of life. That we always have ups and downs. And, for example, for Barry Lyndon, maybe that's not, like, the end of the movie and book. Maybe it's not even the end for this character. Maybe he will rise again a little bit. I don't know, you know? It's just life. He always, like, says that also in Vanity Fair a lot, you know? For example, you see the parallel between this other woman, I forgot her name. Emilia, yes. Emilia and Becky. For example, Emilia is at first at the peak of prosperity and everything. And Becky is at the bottom. And then we see the switch. Now Becky has like all the fame and wealth, and now Emilia is
Tell me about it. That's life every day.
Right.
You know, you think, I figured life out. I have my plans going for me. I have my script coming along. And then the next day you're in the gutter like, God, kill me. I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
And then maybe the next day you're good again. But
right. Isn't that just a great way to write stories? Like, that's amazing. His style is a social satire. So that's one of my favorites, you know, always criticizing this kind of like absurdity of this class of people at that time period.
It's true. I love how Barry talks, and we're with his head because it's his story in the book. But he, you know, what he says is not right. Like, he's saying, my family did this, and we were so rich, and we were so well looked after, and I was really popular in school. And he's saying all these things, even though you can tell, like, this is just his egotism coming through. What he's saying is not even right or accurate, but it's just so enjoyable to hear his version.
The thing is about the book, the narrator is just so unstable, right? So you can't really trust what he says. Exactly how it goes with the memoirs of any other person, you know? It's just one side of the story. So you can't really tell what happened. It's just enjoyable to read it, of course. but it doesn't tell the truth.
Right.
So now here's the major difference between the movie and the book. The book is from Barry's perspective. Like everything is from what he says. It's in first person. He says everything. He tells the story, and it's all from his perspective. And he's a very irritating character. You know, he's so irritating. You just want to punch him, you know?
Right.
And especially because like he just has these gentleman ideas, you know? These ideas of being a gentleman and what it takes to be a gentleman. And that's why he just takes every opportunity to just, I don't know, defy other people and fight them and get into duels and stuff. Stupid, yeah.
It's true.
He's just a boy, you know, an immature boy.
But in the movie, it's not his perspective. It is an omniscient, is that even a word? Like an outside perspective looking into everyone's world. Okay. Not just Barry.
You know, when I was watching the movie, what I was thinking about, it feels like we are reading the book and we're entering the world of the story. And that voice of the narrator in the movie, it's like it's us. It's the audience reading the memoir.
Oh,
so, and you can see it with like the shots and stuff. It's always from far away. It's never from like, we don't see it on the shoulder of Barry, you know, looking at other people. We don't see it from his perspective a lot. It's usually from like just like the camera that is here, right? Yeah. For example, it's like Barry is talking to the general, for example, and the camera is right there, just like us.
That's true.
So it's never like it's from Barry's perspective, seeing the world, but like a reader reading the memoir. It feels like that. That's kind of.
But why do you not like that? Isn't that so interesting?
I didn't say I didn't.
Okay. Because you said like a big difference, and I was like, oh, sounds like you're a little.
But it's a big difference, isn't it?
It's true. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it would have been like Oppenheimer if he did go from Barry's perspective. But now we get to come back and kind of realize the themes, the overall themes of the story, instead of just what Barry's thinking. Because Barry doesn't matter. You know, it's like the world matters. Even we start the story with a duel, a random duel, you know? It's not them.
It's not random, but it's stuff.
Is it Barry?
Barry's father.
Oh, okay, there you go. So, like somebody in his life, but it just shows that time period, like how stupid everyone was.
Yeah, it shows the absurdity of that culture, that society. So you're right. It's about a main theme about society. It's criticizing society. And the narrator's voice in the movie is so sarcastic. And it's so funny too. But I gotta say, the book is much funnier.
Okay.
It's much funnier, yeah. The movie is kind of serious.
Yeah, I don't remember having any laughs in the movie, other than when the generals were joking back and forth, and Barry was like, oh, your mother, you know, why did you leave when your lady came or whatever?
Yeah. That's even funnier in the book, though. But, yeah.
It's just with simplicity, they managed to... With simplicity, and also every department did their best. I mean, the costumes are on point. The makeup, the hair, the production design, cinematography.
You know what infuriates me? Bad costumes in movies.
Yeah.
But this one didn't disappoint. Wow. You know, for example, you take like Bridgerton. It's like a new series coming up. It's just the costumes are ridiculous. Okay. You know? I get it. You wanted to like make it modern. You wanted to make it glamorous for this audience. But I love Kubrick's like mind, you know, how he thinks about it. He wanted it to be exactly how the clothes were made back then.
That's true.
He even said it, I think, to the costume makers and stuff like, I don't want you to like innovate something new or even like sketch something out, right? Just make it how they made it.
That's
with
amazing.
The same
even
fabric,
with the same tools, yeah.
With the same oh, really? So they made it like that?
Yes. Handmade
Perfect.
and everything. So
that's
awesome.
why it feels so good. That's why it's so authentic.
Research on his movies are always top notch. Okay. He spends years, you know, with people just figuring out how to make this movie perfect.
Right.
And the insane thing is, so you know the actor Lord Bullingdon?
Yeah.
The son. What a good actor. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
He's amazing.
Jumping in time now. Okay.
Well, okay. I have a point here.
Yeah, go.
So he's an awesome actor and he does great, and we'll come back to his performance. But he, as a person, Leon Vitali, loved working with Kubrick so much and was so inspired by his way of filmmaking that Leon quit acting.
He was the one that quit acting? You said it in the Shining episode.
Yeah. He quit acting and he became Kubrick's personal assistant and worked with him throughout his whole career. Wow. And then he was part of the research group for the next films. So like he was so impressed with the way Barry Lyndon was put together and made that he quit his career and started helping this guy make his next movie. What the fuck?
Where is he now?
He passed away in 2016, I think.
Really? What did he do after Kubrick passed away?
I could be wrong about this, but for a long time he was archiving all of Kubrick's stuff and putting it out. Amazing.
God,
but we have to find out what he
great.
did after.
Wow.
And he was such a good actor. I mean, there was not a moment when I watched that film where I thought, okay, this actor kind of sucks. I didn't think that with any of the actors.
Right.
But especially not with the guy.
I mean, the emotions that he was showing was much more than any other character, don't you think?
Yes, for real. Yeah, he was just so good. Like, even after after the movie I watched a few years ago, whenever I watched it, I searched up this guy, like, where's he now? And I saw he had no other acting credits. I was like, where did you go? And then until years later when I found out this is what he did. Wow. Such a good actor. And especially because we've been acting recently, you understand how difficult it is.
Right. And I mean, like, the range of emotion that he showed was even more than O'Neill's.
For real.
Right? Mm-hmm. And talk about how similar he is to the child actor.
That's true. So good.
The research that you talked about, Kubrick does insane researches. So apparently he wanted to make a Napoleon movie. What?
Yes.
And a Napoleon movie is coming up this November.
Wow. Oh my God.
How coincidental.
That's true.
We're having Barry Lyndon this November.
It's like it was meant to be.
I know, right? And he was going to make that. Wow, but
how
he
good
didn't.
would that have been? Yeah.
Right. But I don't know. How would, like, a Napoleon movie has to be, like, really fast paced or like so passionate.
That's true. I feel like it shouldn't be cold.
Yeah, it would have but it would have been great to see his version.
That's right. Kubrick movies are usually about ideas more than characters.
Right.
Usually.
Exactly.
But then Napoleon's film would it have to be about Napoleon, or would it have to be about destiny and greatness?
Think of it like this, okay? Barry Lyndon was a heavily character-based story. Yes. And he took this story and made it completely detached.
That's true.
So if he can do this, so imagine, like, if it was a Napoleon movie, it would have been, like, from the perspective, I don't know, of a minister, of a soul, like, I don't know, a ghost.
That's
looking
true.
at Napoleon, whatever. I don't know, like some conspiracy stuff, but
still, as you say, like, whatever, we would have wanted to see his version. He was gonna make a Lord of the Rings with the Beatles acting in it. These 4 guys playing like the elves or something.
What's going on? And he was gonna he actually was interested in Vanity Fair too.
Right.
He was initially wanted to make Vanity Fair, but it was like too long for a feature film, as he said. That he didn't make it. God damn it!
Like, imagine I'm Kubrick right now. I'm sitting here and I'm like, these are the books that I want to make. They're so good. Like, I want to make Shahnameh and this book and that book. And it's like, wow, he is our competition, Like, you're sitting here and maybe you also want to make a Vanity Fair. But Kubrick also wants to make Vanity Fair. Like, which one are we going to watch? And Kubrick's, of course, like, because he's so good. And so you think these are the people that we're competing with. Like, their minds are just vast.
And how powerful they are. It's like a magical power. So you read a book and you like it so much.
Yes.
And you can make it a reality.
That's right.
Oh, that's power right there. For example, like, I see Vanity Fair and I love it. And I want to adapt it, but how am I going to do that?
Right.
Oh, but I would kill for a Kubrick Vanity Fair. I said it to you. I would kill for that shit.
I feel like with AI, they could do that now, but it's so sad. Like, imagine
how would they do that?
Hey, AI, make a Kubrick version of Vanity Fair. Easily.
Damn. wow.
That's illegal.
But the research that he did for Napoleon helped him with this one.
Oh.
Yeah. So he did that research, but he thought it's useless because he couldn't get maybe the producers, I don't know what. And when he saw Barry Lyndon and he read it,
right,
and he was interested in making that, he put that knowledge in use. Perfect.
So yeah, useful. It goes to show you never waste your time by researching.
Exactly.
Go from film to film. I have to say, the reason this film is so beautiful, I don't know the reason. I mean, if I knew, I would have made my films look this good. But one cool thing they did was always not make it like regular lighting that most movies do.
Right.
You know, if you look at any movie from that time period, like emulating that time period, it will just not look the same. Where if you look at these, they literally look like paintings, okay? It's just, they call this movie the Every Frame a Painting movie of
For sure.
Kubrick.
Like, there's not a scene that doesn't look like a painting.
It's true, and I think it's because they really use the sun to their advantage, you know? Like, the sun is the most beautiful type of light you could get, but they didn't just use it for the outside shots. They always like recreated the sun look for the inside, which a lot of movies do today as well, you know. It's just a very common practice to put a big light source outside to come through the windows as if it's the sun.
Oh, like outside,
through
the window.
Just because the sun, of course, moves throughout the day, but if you put a light there, then it's just stay there. It stays there the whole time. But the fact that they put these lights and they covered the windows with like some white fabric or paper or something so you can never see the lights, and then they barely put any lights inside. Wow. That's new, you know, like even on the short films that I work on, people put the light outside, but they also put like, okay, one fill light here, backlight here, put a reflector.
Oh yeah, the reflectors.
Yeah, like the, I don't know, flag floppies. But imagine they would just, Kubrick would let these actors be there and do their thing without worrying about lighting and without it being fake. It was like
that's much
more
living. Natural for the actors too.
That's right. And the fact that it looked so good, it's not like he compromised.
Right.
Looks amazing.
I mean, like, I don't know, I get intimidated by light. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like it does reflect on your acting as well. So, but when it's natural, it feels like, it's like everyday life. You get into character much easier and you can deliver the emotions much better. Oh, wow.
So good, because you always think Kubrick, he is the perfectionist. He's going to have millions of lights. He's going to do everything just to the extra level. But then you hear, no, actually, for Shining, he only had 10 people working on the crew. For this, he had the lights outside, barely anything inside. And the crazy thing is they were shooting in real castles a lot of the time where people were visiting, you know? Like they couldn't close it because it was this public castle. So they would have to shoot between takes where people come to visit and leave.
For example, that scene that wait. Which scenes? The one that he comes, for example, Barry comes in and General Fitzdorf, I don't know, what's his name? He was there.
I think so.
Because that's like the first beautiful architecture that we see, like the most beautiful building that we see like inside.
I think that might be, any of the ones that look just like really real castle type.
Yeah, it was like a castle.
Then it would be.
Oh wow.
Like imagine they would have to keep shutting down. Like would Kubrick ever do that? No, but you would think he wouldn't. But we really don't know Kubrick at all. Like he would do anything to make a good movie. I think he one time said the only things that limit me on set and how good my films could be are the budget that I have and the amount of sleep that I need. Wow. These are the only two limitations. Everything else we could figure out.
Not time and space and anything that a mortal person is limited by.
That's right. Like he has no problem communicating with the crew or finding good crew or actors or anything. Those are not problems, you know? The only problem is like, I guess I need 8 hours of sleep. I can't keep working here.
Can you imagine? Like, only limitation you have is that. But isn't money and budget everybody's like limitation too?
That's true.
Oh wow!
So awesome.
I mean, imagine if you had like infinite source of money and stuff, you would just feed Kubrick to make these films for you.
You're right. And for example, we have to talk about every film he made at some point. But he loved shooting in London. He didn't even want to live in US anymore. So he's a New York guy, okay? He was born in New York.
As time passes, I come to like him more
I
and more and
know.
more. He likes all the literature that I like. And he
went to
loves
live in
London.
London.
What?
Yeah, he bought himself a castle in London, so he was just living there with his family.
Oh my god.
And then he shot all of his movies there, even if they were American.
Right.
Like if they were taking place in America. So for his last movie, Eyes Wide Shut, that was taking place in New York, he recreated New York streets in London.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Just 'cause
How
he
can you
didn't
do
wanna
that?
leave. Yeah, it's just so difficult. Like,
Where?
literally
Like,
multiple streets. I wonder if it was in a studio or if it was literal
I
streets.
mean, he's so crazy that I think he would have built a New York City like a second.
For sure. Exactly. He's just amazing. I love
And
that guy.
did you know that they filmed it actually in Ireland and England and Germany?
So they shot it on location. That's
Whoa.
such a good idea all the time, you know? Like those
felt
trees,
authentic,
yeah.
yeah.
The Ireland trees are going to look different than the US trees. Or like
And
Texas.
buildings and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been in Ireland, but I can feel like that was shot in Ireland. You know, from the pictures that I saw and stuff of the buildings, of the, you know, the nature and stuff. So, wow. Like
It
they
just
actually-
stays with you.
And
So
did you
beautiful.
know that it was actually like he was threatened because they were filming like with this British Army's uniform in Ireland. So I think they kind of reached out to them and they kind of threatened them and his family.
Wow.
And that's why he didn't want to risk it. So he went out of Ireland and went to London to shoot the rest of the movie, I guess.
That's crazy. So Ireland hates the English people?
Well, not hate them, but like imagine they're shooting with this British uniform in their country, so it's kind of like
I see.
yeah. And Ireland has always been like invaded by England, right, all the time. and so-
England's just invading everyone.
right,
don't
yeah,
really
yeah, nobody's safe, but
That's
so,
true.
I even talked to you about it, that it felt like the actors were told by the director that only react to each other. So we had this exercise in acting class that we had to like just be silent, look at our partner, acting partner, and not say a word, but whatever they make us feel like, we just express that. Just react to that. For example, if you make me laugh, for example, I don't know, I just look at your face and you just make me laugh.
Right. And then if you laugh, how does that make me feel? Maybe
then
I
you-
laugh or maybe I get annoyed that you laugh. And then you react to that. And we keep reacting back and forth.
Exactly. And it has to be natural. You don't have to force it.
That's true.
So I feel like a big part of this movie was directed like this, was acted out like this. It was just reaction, and especially with the eyes.
Yes. And the thing is, they also found that in editing, of course, because, you know, they're not filming these two at the same time. Like if they're filming the woman,
Right.
the man's reaction is shot a little later. But at the same time, I do know that Kubrick loved having both actors in all the time, even if they're not on screen.
Right.
Like, that's kind of not common practice. They usually have a stand-in because the actor, when they're done, like, they would want to take a break.
Yeah.
But Kubrick would have the actors dressed up in costume from
Thank
top
you.
of the day to, like, the last shot of the day. And he didn't go to film school. Wow.
Really?
So he got a job as a photographer
right.
early on.
Uh-huh.
As soon as, like, he was out of high school or something. And he started making money by doing that. So good.
And how did he get into the whole, like, directing?
I think he saved up enough money from the photography job to get a bunch of friends together and make his first movie. So just with friends, he made it.
Oh, I remember this thing from a documentary that I watched of him, that he was, like, I don't know, taking some pictures of sports or boxing and stuff, and his first movie was also about that too.
Right.
Okay.
So cool.
Wow. Did he make a short film?
I think so, yeah.
The first one was
Just
that.
because he was shooting on film, of course, at that time, so it's so expensive. I doubt he would have made his first film a feature.
Right.
possible.
Here's the thing. Did he actually make the lenses? I heard the lenses that he used for this movie was from NASA. Like, there were only 10 of them.
Right.
6 of them are from NASA. And, like,
I know.
that's crazy.
For every movie, like, he was doing some new innovation. And so for this one, they were shooting at night, at night with candlelight, you know, with no other light.
Even right now, if I film something like that, it
With
would
candlelight,
be
it was
so
so
dark. It
dark.
would be just pixels,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Like imagine we're sitting in this bright studio and we have 2 lights, and like we put this, if it was night, we'd have to put 20 lights, you know? But at night, they had these like 10 candles, and somehow they had to make everything not be dark. And they're like, these lenses that we have literally they're not strong enough. There's never been a lens made that would be so good. And so then they reach out to NASA, I guess. And so NASA is always looking into darkness, as you can imagine. They're just there's like a couple stars out there, I don't know. And so this lens that they have, the aperture could go down way more than any other lens. So aperture is this number of like how open the lens basically gets. So if it's very little open, then the tiny amount of light can get in.
Right.
So that's good for really sunny days. Because if it's really, really sunny, of course, the picture would just be white.
Yeah.
So you would bring the aperture down. But if it's really dark, then you would open that hole so much so that any amount of light could come in. And so, I don't know, like, let's say what they had at that point was a 2.8 or like a 4 or whatever. But then this one that NASA had was a 1.7. So it was just like, it was like double as much light as they could get before. So they get these lenses and they find a way to mount it to their camera. And even with that, they had like 70 candles per candelabra. Okay, and each of the candles had like 2 or 3 candles beside each other.
Yeah.
And they got that lens, and they had all these candles, and they got kind of like perfection, I think.
Yes, but they did. Like each scene with the candlelights. First of all, like it's just about reflection and stuff. Everything that has the candlelights, it's just calmer. We just see him, Barry, much more. There's just these lights coming off and on. There's something about it so beautiful, and especially when he's in his red coat.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And it just feels real, you know? It doesn't, you know how in Breakfast at Tiffany's, they were just like, you could tell it's not a real courtroom, like it's literally in a studio.
Just reminded of that because you said last time about Breakfast at Tiffany's that it felt like a studio. It was a studio, and then the lighting was so fake. They didn't even put like sunlight in. Let alone, it was just fake lighting.
It was just like bright. Everything's bright.
Yeah.
But here, you know, you're dealing with light and shadow and who is in the dark. Why is half of their face in the dark? What is that trying to say? Why? And it shows, like, it feels real, you know. It feels like you were there. If you were there and you were playing cards at night with these people in the 1700s or 1800s, this is how their room would be lit.
Right.
You know? So cool.
Whereas, for example, imagine right now when they're filming something about that time period, like 1800s, 1700s, it's always like at night, it's just so well lit.
That's true. They try to recreate this look, you know?
Yeah.
They still have the candles, but then everything is so bright in the background.
Right. There were like chandeliers back then. So it was like, it would reflect the few candle lights that were there. But still, I feel like the rooms would have been so dark.
That's true.
Because imagine, like, even 40 years ago, that there was not much electricity in Iran, in villages and stuff. It was pitch dark at night, and they would have, like, a few candlelights. And my dad is always even telling, like, these stories about his, like, childhood and stuff. And when he was, like, going to school and when he would come back and do some homework.
Yeah, because it would be dark at night.
Right.
So he would have to do the homework as soon as he came home.
Just like a little bit of candlelight, he had to do something, you know.
And this is 40 years ago.
Just 40 years ago.
Right.
Wow. Like, at that time, I'm imagining, like, it would have been so much darker. Of course, these were wealthy people. But again, candlelight can't be that illuminating. So
it just looks so good. There's a movie called Marie Antoinette. Oh, we did watch part of it.
Little bit of it.
Yeah.
We have to watch the whole thing.
That one is also really beautifully shot, and it's a good story.
Right.
But when you compare the cinematography of these two, that one looks so stylized, which is it's supposed to as well.
Yeah.
It's trying to be like super modern look at Antoinette.
Exactly.
But you can clearly tell like this one feels so real, whereas that one feels like a bunch of lights were put in to create that.
Exactly. I mean, any movie that I watch from that is like a historical movie from 18th century, 19th century, it's always so fake at night. Like nothing compares. Right now that I've seen this, the standard is high.
That's right.
Nothing has topped it, and nothing I think will top this one.
For real. And they have this technique of using these zoom lenses. First of all, zoom lenses are really looked down upon in
Why
film.
did he zoom out a lot? There were so
Wasn't
many
that so
zoom
cool?
out. Well,
It was a technique like specific for this movie. I feel like you shouldn't use it for every movie.
right.
But it worked so well here because it was like, oh, you think you're close to these characters. But now look at this. Yeah, we're so far back. And these are only little ants in this whole journey of life. You know, they mean nothing. Look at the trees. And it's like, it's all about kind of reflecting on the image as opposed to being a part of it with them. And also it really adds to the painting aspect of it because it's like, as you come out more, it's like when you're close, it looks like one painting. A little further back is a different painting. A little further back is different. So it really worked here, don't you think?
Well, I gotta be honest with you.
Okay.
At first, when I was watching, I was like, "What is this cheap ass
No
zoom outs and stuff? Like, what's this? Embarrassing." But then I went back again, like every Kubrick movie. And I was like, yeah, I get it. You want to try to focus on this thing. You want us to be distracted by this thing, but then you want to take us out and see the whole picture. You want to remind us that we're just an outsider in this story. We're not in this world of the story. We're just reading the memoir. We're just the narrator.
That's true.
We're just this. And and also, I would get it. Like, for example, there were these zoom outs from when the army was there and they were walking, and it was beautiful as it was zooming out. You know, it would get more beautiful as these people were exactly like ants were going, and their red coats, and you would see more and more people just going around. So yeah, I do love these stuff.
And I would say it's really hard to do that because you have to time the zooming out where that is not shaky, you know, it can't be like a little bit and then keep going out. It has to be super perfect. And then at the same time, the focus has to change as well because as you zoom out, the focus changes.
Right.
So you have to adjust it. And it's like they had no monitor, I feel like. Or they had like some really bad monitor at that point. So they're shooting this film camera and like basically adjusting it by meters, not even by their eyes, by seeing it, just by their calculations. And so these two people are doing the different things and all the actors have to do their thing and the camera has to move, you know? So all these
torture.
things. Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was just some bad editing.
Just like
and
the guy's
stuff.
like, think.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Whoa. Okay, now I got some respect. All right.
Yes, insane. And for as you said, like the camera was always really far. Either it was like this kind of distance, or it was like so far, you know, it was 100 feet away and then they zoomed in. So it's like a spy almost looking, you know, the person who's watching the story is meters away, but even though they showed this much, only because they've zoomed it in. And so that effect makes you blend in with your background.
Right.
So it like gets rid of any depth that there is and it makes you feel like part of the background. So that adds to the painting effect, I feel like.
Yeah.
We have to make a film in the style of Barry Lyndon, don't you think?
In a style of Kubrick, yeah. Like,
well, Kubrick is so vast, though. Each film, his style changes a lot.
Well, there is something common in each of his movies, though. The documentary effect, as I said before, and I keep saying that till I die. But when I was watching that, I felt like I was watching a natural document of these animals, and this narrator is saying, so now the birds are, you know, this bird is going to build his nest, and he's doing that, and now look at him dance and do this, you know, it was like that. It was like a narrator saying, yeah, Barry Lyndon is like this, and he's going there now, and society is like that, and this and that. Isn't that a documentary?
Yeah, for sure.
And you were just saying, like, you were just seeing Barry Lyndon go through life just like that, and exactly like okay, this is bad. I wrote this about the movie in my review. I wrote that it felt like my mom and dad's wedding video.
Oh, interesting.
Not in a bad way. Let me explain why. It felt like they were living their lives anyhow. You know, it was like, yeah, they were just living their lives. These things would have happened whether I would have seen it or not. So it's just like they just captured it. These things were happening to this guy. they would have happened anyway, but there was a cameraman just shooting this.
Right.
It felt like that. And that's a good thing. I don't say it as a bad thing.
No, I agree with you, especially these two movies that we've seen. Very much a documentary style. So good on you for noticing that, because I didn't really, like, it's kind of subconscious the way you think about it. You know,
Right.
Don't go out of your way to say this was shot like a documentary, even though that's what you did.
I know
which
everybody's
is awesome.
gonna come at me and say you don't understand
No,
Kubrick. You're just
well. You know what we should do is next watch Clockwork Orange.
okay. So is this Kubrick style to always put these kind of things in editing? You know, these breaks that he gives with that he writes stuff. You know, in the Barry Lyndon, we had part 1, how Redmond Barry got his style and title. And then we have a second part, the downfall of, for example, Barry Lyndon. And also in The Shining too, we had these like break moments that he would have these titles and stuff written in the editing, of course. Like Wednesday, Tuesday, and 4 p.m. Like 1 a.m. You know, these things. I think he does that.
That's true. I'm trying to think if he did that for Clockwork Orange as well. If he didn't specifically put a title, he does always cut it into sections. You're right.
Really?
It's like, actually, I remembered another movie he made is also like that. So he made this war movie called Full Metal Jacket.
Wow.
Which is my favorite movie ever, probably. So we'll talk about that as well. But it's literally in 2 halves.
Okay.
So it's like a 1/2 story and then the second half. And then same thing with Clockwork Orange. It's 1/2, second half. Same thing with 2001. It's like 3 halves.
Wow.
This one. So that's interesting. He always uses this like what's it called? Act breaks or something.
Yeah. That's good.
In his making.
I mean, it feels like 2 different movies. If you like cut it down, especially because it's 3 hours, right?
That's
you
true.
could watch both parts. I love the first part. I don't know. Just the whole like building up from the innocence to
that's true
power. But then I love the second part too. The downfall, the dark side of him coming out. And yeah, it's hard to watch it, like see him go down because you have kind of built up to like this character. But then like the dark side, I love that. The dark side, the shadow side. Yes, please.
What was his dark side here other than the cheating and the late night candlelight?
Ego coming out, getting insulted at everything.
Oh yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, his pride and sense of like feeling like he's above everyone, and especially his cruelty to the stepson, beating him all the time, and lack of financial management and stuff.
You like this stuff?
I don't like that. I like the fact that they showed it. I like stories to have dark sides and show the dark side of characters.
Oh, that's a good point. So part 2 starts with his terrible misdeeds, and then it ends with
misery.
Yeah,
his
misery.
Leg.
Exactly. He loses his leg, and like he does one final good thing by not shooting at the stepson, but you know it's like too little, too late.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at that point, he was kind of defeated already. He lost his son, and he didn't have anything to lose. He didn't even have the money. You know, he lost all the money.
Yes.
Like, the Lyndon last name wasn't even that much for him. Like, he didn't care about it. But why was he this inconsiderate towards his wife?
For real. He took the house and he restructured it and he sold everything in it, and even though she's so pretty, it's not like he ever said like
she's so pretty,
she's gorgeous.
Oh wow, yes.
And he was just like out of there as soon as they got married. Like, is that supposed to say he's still in love with Nora? He's still in love with that random
no. It actually, like, in the movie, even the narrator says that there comes a point in Gentleman's life that he realizes that he just gives up on every romantic notion and knows that he has to marry for wealth and title and stuff. Again, it shows also the power of women, again, as we talked about here now. Like, in Barry's life, at every stage of his life, women were the most powerful one. Like, every interaction he had with a woman, the woman was in power. The mom Nora, that village girl again. Like, yeah, that was equal kind of, but still.
At least the status was higher for the women.
Right.
They were richer, like for the wife.
Yeah. And then, again, with Lady Lyndon, like, it's always the woman in power. That's crazy.
Good point.
And it also shows the kind of like how that society worked and how a broke person could rise in society and get status. It would have been by being in the army, being a general, and then like marrying rich. Like that's what you had to do, as that was what women had to do in Vanity Fair.
That's right. How come we don't judge Becky as much as we judge him?
we don't judge Barry that much.
Because like I judge him a lot for doing this to the wife, you know. I'm like, you stupid bitch. Like this woman was beautiful. You took her and you ruined her life and you took her estate. You are a loser nothing, you know?
Yeah.
But then in terms of Becky, I'm like, you know, yeah, sure, the general, like that guy was just a asshole himself. Like, I hope you make some money from this. I don't know. It's like we are on the woman's side to succeed. But for Barry, we're like, you should just be a general and have no money. How dare you marry someone for money?
I wasn't like that. I was actually kind of like happy, okay, with the fact that he got married like that. But that he treated her like this, I didn't. And also Becky didn't treat her husband that well.
That's true. Oh, yeah. But at least she acted like it.
Yeah, she did. She did make him feel good about himself. As that is what women have to do to be seducers. Women have to make men feel really good about themselves.
Right. And then the guy just has to be like bully.
Right.
He has to blow smoke in their face. And then kiss her. Wow.
Like, oh my God.
Manipulation.
Yeah, I guess this guy just never got that like reality check. I don't know. He was always in his world, having those notions of being a gentleman, and he was so obsessed with the idea. Much more in the book, because you hear his thoughts. He always talks about being a gentleman, always judging the company of lowlifes and, I don't know, other people around him. Even though he doesn't have any money, he still thinks of himself as that high. So he has a huge ego, and that is going to come back at him.
And he keeps talking about his old dad and mom and his ancestry, the Barrys.
Oh.
Wow, they were amazing. They were so good.
By the way, did you know that the Chevalier was actually his uncle in the book?
Oh, yes.
You knew that?
Yes. That's crazy.
Wow. Look at the army. Oh, my God. But why didn't they show it in the movie? Right. I guess maybe because it takes a lot of time to, like, show it. Because if that was the uncle, they would have had to, like, show him more in the movie.
That's right. They made the decision to just have him be a guy.
Yeah, even though if he's not the uncle, it doesn't really make sense.
Why he would be so trusting of
exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because why would you like trust that guy? But I guess if you know the story and then watch this, then it's okay. But still, that was the uncle, and that made him even feel more proud of himself.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I'm from the Barryville.
You're the Barrys.
I am Barry of the Barryville.
But at the same time, I relate to that so much because, like, we always say, you know, wow, our parents were in the tents and they were shepherds. Like, we're so proud of that, aren't we? Well, not our parents, but our grandparents.
Right. But, like, this guy is like, my parents were from the kings, you know, ancestors of kings and stuff. But we're talking about, like, they were just adventurous people, like, always in the woods and stuff. That's nothing to be, like,
that's true,
proud about in a, like, a society kind of a hierarchy kind of sense or status sense.
Still, I love him being so angry every time someone offends him about the family. And he makes a bad decision every time. You know, if somebody's like, why are you wearing this medal? It's for the kings. And he's like, well, my ancestors were kings. And then the guy laughs at him. He's like, I will demand satisfaction. You know, that's cool.
That's absurd. That's why they always, like, show it in the movie again and again. And that's why, like, the duelings and fights, they just show how people were back then.
And maybe how people are still, but, like, they were so out there. Yeah. Like, imagine if somebody offends you and you're just like, I guess let's let fate decide, you know. Let's stand here and one of us will never see the light of day again, but one of us will feel a little better about ourselves.
Right? I mean, in Middle East, right, they have this thing that they're so like, I don't know, men are so sensitive about their women like relations. So they call it namus, for example, and they say it a lot, right? They would do anything to protect that namus, right? That women relations, whether it's a sister, mom, or a girlfriend or whatever. So they would do anything for that, and they would go to lengths.
That's true. They would hurt, like they would knife somebody.
Yeah.
Who said something rude.
Even to this day.
That's true.
But back then, of course, I'm sure it was so violent. And at the same time, in England, for example, that was the case and custom. Not only that, Europe. They would do that like men are just so... That's crazy. That's stupid.
It's so crazy. But I love that it's at the very beginning of the movie and very end.
Right.
And also in the middle a few times. Like, that's such a great framing device. Because, you know, first it shows, here's the world we're in, where nothing really is, like, up to you. Yeah. Because of your society, it's acceptable to do this. And so you could lose your life like this. And then at the end, we come back to Barry. You know, now he's in a fight that he didn't start. For once, he didn't ask to get satisfaction, but somebody else put him in this position, and he can't even say no. It's like his life has been leading up to this. He fucked up so many other people that now this young man, just like him, is saying, you fucked with me, so now you will get what you deserve.
Right.
It's just so awesome. And it's like even Barry can't say anything because in Bullingdon's eyes, he sees himself, you know? Yeah.
That's so cool. True. And I kind of wonder if Bullingdon will turn out to be like Barry too. Well, I guess so.
Bullingdon is so kind, though. Here's the thing. He was also kind to the mother. Yeah.
Exactly. But what happened that fucked him up? It was because of all this like things that happened, I think, in his childhood, or some people always insulting him, always like saying that. So they just built up. And at one point, he had to do this stuff to prove himself. And I think Bullingdon will be the same, too. Because he grew up with this guy. Whether he liked it or not, that was his father figure. He was very young when his mother married. And so I think he will also kind of like turn out.
That's a good point, and so sad.
It's sad, yes, exactly.
But it also shows how parents affect your life. I like how the dad of Barry... died like immediately, you know. We don't even see him. In the book, he's already dead, I think.
Right. Yeah.
And in the movie, we see his death. But it's like, okay, here's a guy who was maybe a drunk. We don't know. Like maybe he was really cool, or maybe he had problems. But he was in a duel, whatever it was. Yeah. So something weird going on. But he has so much effect over Barry's life. Like all this time, Barry's trying to defend his father's name, and he's saying, no, my father was this and that, and I will be better even. I'll be just like him. And so even though the dad had just no effect in Barry's life other than birthing him, for all like seeding the mother.
Okay, and that's a good one.
And then Barry had to like still keep being intertwined with the dad's legacy, even though he did nothing.
Wow.
I don't know. It's just something I thought about.
Yeah, exactly. Like the movie is all about this, the society, just showing that with a non-judgmental kind of perspective. It doesn't try to say that it's a bad thing or anything. The narrator is sometimes like making fun of the situations, but still not a big deal, really. He's not judging. I like that a lot. And then what else is there?
Yeah, always having characters who do some good things and some bad things, as you say, is a good idea. Don't make them big villains. Don't make them saints.
That's what I like. Even my story is like about that. I love this kind of downfall. And if there's a downfall, the character has to start a little bit good, but they have to have those weaknesses that are going to lead to the downfall. It's always really beautiful because this is how life works. And I say that again and again, but this is how life works. And I think movies and stories have to portray that, have to show this.
That's a good point.
Yeah, either they have to start like with the downfall going up and down, or like, I don't know, up, down, up.
That's right. Like but you know, there's also room for every kind of story. Right. So we can't say don't make that kind. But don't make it always be the good guy who goes through adversaries and adversaries.
Or like with minor weaknesses and stuff.
That's true.
You have to have like deep moral weaknesses. Like this character was so immoral.
So you will love Clockwork Orange.
Really?
It's actually the opposite structure, where he starts as this evil guy who has like maybe tiny bit of good in him, but just so fucking evil. And in the second half, he starts to
get better.
Not even get better, but like people try to make him better,
Uh-huh.
and so he goes through like this rehabilitation, and then
does
what
it-
happens at the end, I won't tell you.
Oh,
But it's like the opposite
Okay.
structure.
wow.
Oh, you're gonna love that one for sure.
All right. That's.
I have to say, why do you think that most of the duels were two people shoot at the same time, and then the last duel was first you shoot, then the other guy shoots?
Right. What was the point of
What?
that? Okay, in the script, apparently, that scene exactly was just written as this person, Barry and Bullington, right? Bullington have a duel. That's it.
Oh.
How did they make a masterpiece out of that?
So true. It's the best part, honestly. One of the best parts of the movie.
I
Wow.
mean, it's just also very long too. And Bullington is just shitting his pants.
Yeah, but it's so real because, first of all, I think he demanded satisfaction for a good reason.
Right.
Like, considering all the reasons that Barry did it,
Oh, for sure.
this guy was actually beat and everything. So you're on both people's sides when they're
Yeah.
holding their guns up. And then he misses. And he's, like, so upset because now he's going to die, He tried to get satisfaction, but now he's going to die. And he starts to throw up, and you're with him. You understand exactly how it feels.
The thing is, this guy, we compared Bullington to Barry, but now I'm thinking they're actually nothing alike because Barry is a brave character, even though he's like so fucked up and he's like a jerk and all that. He's brave. He's courageous, at least. But Bullington is not that at all. He may be righteous. He may be like...
He's cautious. He's more cautious, yeah.
But he's not brave. In that sense, he's not like Barry.
Barry is like naively brave. He will literally put his life on the line.
Right.
Whatever.
That's right.
He thinks he has a shield to protect him.
And he does, apparently. Like an angel is always
That's
protected
true.
all the time.
Yeah.
But there was this scene of the officers giving Barry 2 guineas, I think. Giving a prize to him as like his act of chivalry, saving the captain and all that. When he's in the which one? When he's in Prussian army. When he's there. So, and there the general, there's another general that he talks to Barry in front of everyone, and he says, even though you're brave and courageous, you are undisciplined, you are whatever. Like, he says some bad things about him, which are true. You're proud, you're undisciplined and all that. And you're in bad company and stuff. And no good will come of you. It's like he predicted.
Right.
Or not even predict, because that's like his fate. The way he was going, he would have been like what the officer said, what the general said. And it was so true. Like, even though you're brave and you are like so courageous, you're undisciplined.
It's like these flaws that will just come back to ruin your life.
Right.
And it's true for everyone's life as well. And the unfortunate thing is that you can't see it for yourself.
Exactly.
And when other people tell you have that flaw, you usually just say, yeah, like, you don't know me. Why don't you talk about your own flaws?
Right.
Instead of just taking it in and accepting it and trying to become better. It's like the ultimate tragedy of our lives.
That's right. Exactly. It should have been called The Tragedy of Barry Lyndon.
The movie or the book?
Both of them, perhaps.
The Tragedy of Barry Lyndon.
But it's not really a tragedy. It's like he did it to himself, so you can't really call it.
That's true. He could have changed his course many times.
The book is called The Luck of Barry Lyndon.
Oh, yeah. Which is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your story, you know? What was it called? Luck? Fortune?
Oh, the reversed luck?
Right.
The short story.
Yeah, because it's like the luck of Barry Lyndon could mean that he's very lucky, or it could mean he's very unlucky.
Right.
You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's luck, chance. It's like the games that they play. One of the things about Makepeace is that he always brings up this thing about theme or something about gambling is what makes money, or like what people think will make them money and stuff. So his characters are always trying to gamble and try to play cards in order to raise money for themselves and raise their status and stuff. It's crazy. I don't know if that was like the case. Definitely like one of the best entertainments at the time were cards. They would, everybody would do that. But I don't know to what extent, like...
Right, like, is it just Makepeace that was using this literary device of gambling to explain his themes of chance and fate and...
I don't know.
Or was it everyone playing it?
I think he's like more like a realistic society. He always like jokes about society and stuff. So I'm sure it's like, it was very heavy. Like people would gamble a lot and it was a common thing. So maybe that's why he always brought that up in his stories. Which is crazy. Like, yeah, they always try to make money by these stuff.
You know what I'm thinking? Maybe we should read all of Makepeace's novels and turn one of them into a film.
Yeah, he's so good.
I'm sure there's one that has not been turned into a film yet, or has not been turned into a good film. I do love how they keep saying in the book, you know, Barry reached the height of his power and he came into the highest level of society and all that. And it's always so meaningless, you know? We're just like, oh, okay, so now what? Like, we know there's 3 hours of this book left and things are going to go down. It's almost like, he reached here, so, you know, what's the point? You wouldn't be happy.
You know, from the start of the movie and the book, his only desire is to be a true gentleman. He obsesses over that. He wants to be a real gentleman. And once he becomes a gentleman, he's still not satisfied. There's something that is irritating him. That's why he's not fulfilled. That's why he has the downfall. That's the story of life. We go towards a goal. We work hard for it. We think that that's the thing that is going to make us happy. But it's not. It's just not. Because it's outside of us. Nothing that is outside of us is going to make us happy and fulfilled. So once we reach that goal, whether we're from that time period, whether from this time period, we're going to, again, fall down.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Because when you reach that goal at that level, it's just now the physical battle is over.
Right.
Now the mental battle begins, you know. You got to fight with yourself.
That's right. So we have to just like not be stuck to these superficial goals that we have.
Right.
They don't mean anything. They won't make you happy.
It's just a game. You play it, you have fun, but at the end you should know that it's just a game.
It's just Vanity Fair.
It's just Vanity Fair.
Right.
Yeah.
So good.
Again, one more note about the Kubrick film is that it's slow-paced, and for a good reason, because it just shows the passing of life. Like, it's realistic to life.
True.
It's realistic to how life is. It's dragging, it's slow. You know, there are awkward moments where you don't talk and you're silent. You see these films, for example, we talked about Social Network. They were talking back to back, overlapping, Oppenheimer, crazy, you know? But this time, it's like with Kubrick's Barry Lyndon, it's just so slow. There are times pauses. Actors are allowed to like take as much time as they want. That's so much freedom, really.
Yes.
And then
it won't work for every movie. It's true.
Yeah, exactly. But this one is about life.
That's right.
So that works. That works, yeah.
The time that it gives for you to reflect, even just get distracted and think about your own life, you know? It's amazing. Because when you watch it, you think, okay, this is such a boring movie that I was thinking about how to make lunch, you know, whatever. But then when later, like, if you ever make that same lunch again that you made that day, you're always going to think about Barry Lyndon. Like, if you thought about your crush when you were watching this movie, next time you think about your crush, you're going to think about Barry Lyndon. It's like it gets intertwined with your life.
Yeah, it's like a slow burn kind of like, they talk about slow burn romance. Now it's like a slow burn story that kind of like gets stamped or like, I don't know, carved in your brain. Something like that. Yeah, it's there always.
We recommend you watch Barry Lyndon again. It's amazing.
Yes,
this poster is just, I'm happy that it's here.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about the music. Yeah.
Whoa, classical music. What a good idea that they used that.
Yeah.
Even it's not all time accurate. So some of the classical pieces made were written after.
Oh yeah.
But who cares, you know? It worked.
It did work.
Every song matched so much to the shots that it was like, wow, it was written for the shots.
Yeah, just building up the story. And it was music heavy.
Yes.
Sometimes we couldn't even hear what they were talking about because it was like music was so loud and was like at the same time. But it just adds to the sensual kind of like experience of the movie.
Definitely. It's not just a movie. It's like a visual album or something as well.
Yeah, you know, the five senses.
Right,
it's like
right.
You get all this stuff like stimulus from everything. If it's slow paced and actors are not doing much, there's music is like maybe heavy or something.
And
so
it's good music too, you know, it's not
good
just a
music.
random.
Yeah. We were just listening to it before we came
car.
here. Yeah. And this is the record that Marl has.
That's right.
So, yeah.
It's just amazing. Listen to the soundtrack. Watch the film. Let us know what you think about it.
Read
what do you
the
think
book.
about Barry Lyndon? Read the book. Sorry.
Yeah.
Makepeace, yeah. The book is amazing. Definitely.
Exactly.
Listen to the radio play. There's just so much with Barry Lyndon.
And don't forget about Redmond Barry of Barry Will.
Barry Oak.
Oh,
later
no,
became
like
Barry Lyndon.
Redmond Barry, Squire of Barry Will.
He's a good man who lost his life to some unfortunate events and bad decisions.
Yeah, bad decisions. Okay.
But
And
he's
his
awesome.
ego.
That's right. So let us know what you think about Barry Lyndon.
Right.
And what movie should we talk about next? Which books
Exactly.
and films are you most interested in?
Tell us anything you know about Kubrick, his films.
Oh,
what do you
Kubrick
know
is the
about
best.
this? Yeah.
Yes. Let's make a Kubrick fan club.
I
Now
know,
you're
right?
also
be
the president.
Exactly. Yeah.
So cool.
The unknowledgeable president that makes assumptions, but still.
No, everything.
So
see you on the
you.
next one. Thank you so much for
Yes.
watching. See you on TikTok, Instagram,
please subscribe
YouTube.
to our channel. Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.